The distance of the two contenders standing at the start line is toma, which means far distance. It is impossible to hit the opponent with one step. When the contenders step towards each other with the tip of the sword crossing at about 10 to 15 centimeters, the fighting range is called issoku itto. But even if one steps in further from this position, he cannot hit the opponent while the opponent's shinai tip holds down the center of the other sword. This means the most basic strategy upon attacking is to make the opponent's shinai move away from the vertical plane, then to make room for the potential strike. Here are the description of the shinai movement. First, tsuke. Let two shinais touch on either obverse or reverse side and infer the opponent's next move. Sawari. From tsuke, lightly move the tip of the shinai to inside the opponent. When the sawari becomes a little more forceful, it is called a osae. Uchi, the light tap on the opponent's sword. Hari, a stronger hit than the uchi. This is a short, strong hit on the shinai, but the sword tip should never miss the opponent's vertical plane. A stronger hit with a fourth step is called hajiki. When the hajiki becomes more forceful and longer, it is called harai. The harai will completely remove the opponent's shinai, but make sure your sword tip maintains the vertical plane. Then uchiotoshi. Whether using the averse and reverse, strike the sword with the pressure from above the opponent. This is nori. Lean on the opponent's shinai from above. With more pressure, it is called noriosae. Take hold of the opponent's shinai movement by putting the pressure from above. If you add turns to the shinogi, it becomes the makiosae. The movement with a temporal pressure at the very end of the makiosae to strike down the opponent's sword is called makiotoshi. For this move, it is required that your left side is closed, left fist fixed, and turn with the energy of the legs entering the mai. This is mawashi. Turn and enter the striking position without touching the opponent's shinai. This is katsugi. Carry on either right or the left shoulder. This is hazushi. This is showing the hazushi using the verse as well as the hazushi with the sword tip facing the lower position. Mawashi, katsugi, and hazushi are not predictable moves because these moves are detached from the opponent's shinai. At the same time, these moves allow many parts of your body unguarded. Please remember that these moves are best used while the opponent is defending. When two shinais with their left sides touching each other, it is called omote. The omote's hitting zones are the center men, the tsuki, the gyakudo, in case of the mitokoro-yoke. When the opponent's left side is still guarded, the hitting zones are only the men and the tsuki. When performing the omotezeme, take control of the vertical plane and step in without moving your hands, as if your right foot intrudes the space between the opponent's legs. Think of this as your left fist cutting in the center line of the opponent's body. Do not protrude your arms because even if you succeed, it will be an unsightly strike with elongated arms. The tip of your sword should not point to the extreme left, as its distance would be too far for the following strikes to be effective. If the stance is maintained correctly without excess pressure, you can attack smoothly. Then you can proceed with more effective strikes. Practice this smooth attack method. The right side of the shinai, which is the opposite side that touches the opponent's shinai, is called the ura. The ura's hitting zones are wide, the kote, center men, the right side do, and the tsuki. The shinai can be turned to the ura side from above or below, but many use the below method. Let's examine the urazeme. Step in as if your right foot intrudes the space between the opponent's legs, just as with the omote attack, and take control of the center line with the shinai turning from the ura. Do not let your left fist point to the extreme left. Be careful not to get attacked when turning the shinai to the ura, because using this movement can temporarily break your stance. Make sure your arms are not elongated. If your left fist is not properly situated, the tip of the shinai will sway to the right side. This will be a detour movement, which is ineffective for the strike. If your posture getting out of shape is kept minimum, the following strikes will be smooth. This is a difficult kata, but it is said that the stronger one's omote attack is, the weaker his ura attack. Mastering the ura attack is useful. Shortening the distance with your shinai from directly below the opponent's shinai, as though you are hiding your shinai, is called gedanzeme. Step in as if your right foot intrudes the space between the opponent's legs as you lower your shinai. The tip of the shinai should level the height of your left fist. The opponent cannot see your shinai for a brief second, and this temporal movement will disturb the opponent's stance. If the opponent's hands is raised, attack the kote. If he lowers the tip of the shinai, attack the tsuki. With an open tip, you can attack the tsuki or men. But if your shinai tip is too low, or the tip is extremely by the left side, the attack is not only ineffective, also makes it possible for the opponent to attack you instead. This lower attack is different from omote or ura attacks because this does not cut through the center line. This is another effective attacking method to be mastered. Sweeping down the opponent's shinai from above to the southwest direction is called omotebarai. Attacking from the omotebarai is the tsuki and the men. Step in with your right foot and sweep instantly with pressure of your palms. It is important that the tip of your shinai catches the opponent's vertical plane after the harai. If your left foot is pulled towards your body and if your leg form and the posture are correct, you can continue to attack smoothly. It is neither efficient nor easy to use the harai on the upper part of the opponent's shinai. Make sure your arms are not elongated after the harai. The attack turns out to be ineffectual if the shinai tip sways to the southwest direction. After the first harai, you may find that the opponent's grip is strong with the shinai coming back very quickly. In a case like this, you may wish to use the kote or kotemen after the initial omotebarai. Let's master a sharp spring-like harai. Unlike the omotebarai, which sweeps down the opponent's sword, the urabarai sweeps up from down to the northeast direction. The possible hitting areas are the kote, the men, the right do, and the tsuki. Step in with your right foot as you lower the shinai tip in the gedan. Instantly sweep up. Then pull back your shinai tip at the opponent's vertical line after the harai. It feels like drawing a half circle with your shinai tip. Use your hand like bouncing your pinky side of the back of your hand. If you sweep the upper part of the opponent's shinai, or if your left fist is to the extreme left upon attacking your harai, the attack will not be powerful. The attack will not be sharp and crisp if your elbows are extended. If the tip of your shinai sways to the right after the harai, the following attack will be delayed. It is not recommended to turn down the shinai with pressure. Let's master a correct, sharp urabarai. Take one step in with your right foot for the makiosai and lean in the same way as the omote shinogi, as though you are placing a lid. Spraining a lot of pressure in the latter part of the makiosai to break the opponent's posture is called the makiotoshi. The makiage is a bigger movement than the makiotoshi, which captures the opponent's shinai in a spiral motion. Notice the difference of the hand movements. Make sure to remember that there is one important thing in common for all the movements. Your left fist must be stable. Stepping in with your right foot, leaning with pressure using the urashinogi movement is the uramaki osae. If the latter part of the makiosae is sprained with a lot of pressure, just as in shinogi otoshi, it is called the maki otoshi. The makiage using the ura captures the opponent's sword in a spiral motion, just as the makiage using the omote. Pay attention to the hand movements. Generally, only the back of the hand is used. Make sure your left side stays strong and solid, or the opponent's shinai will defend your attack and you will not be able to hit afterward even after a successful maki. This omoteyoke is the most popular dodge of all. Hold your shinai straight and make the kata of the kirikaeshi against the left men, then place the shinai tip slightly forward. Do not place your arm extremely to your left, and do not raise your left fist over your head. Your left fist should stay as close to the vertical line as possible. Now let's have a look. When the opponent hits the men, dodge with the omoteyoke. If the yoke is too low, your men is hit, and if your hands are raised too much, your do will be unguarded. The omoteyoke is effective in dodging the men, but this movement allows the kote, right men, right do, and tsuki to be unguarded. It is important to learn the correct kata, but keep in mind that if you repeat the same yoke, the opponent will learn your pattern. The urayoke dodges the opponent's urashinogi attack. The urayoke is not used as frequently as the omoteyoke, but it is highly effective. It is important to master it. First, Hold your shinai straight and make the kata of the kirikaeshi against the right men. Then place the shinai tip slightly forward. Do not place your left fist to your extreme right. And do not raise your hands too much, as these incorrect postures will not lead to attack. Make sure you master this yoke with minimum movement. Let's have a look. The advantage of the urayoke is that it allows you to hide the kote and the men at the same time. But keep in mind that if it is too low, the men will be unguarded, and if too high, the right do is unprotected. The urayoke will leave the left men, right do, and tsuki defenseless. The urayoke is a difficult kata, but it enables you to make the next offense move, so practice it well. Catching the opponent's hit with the omote shinogi and attacking the opponent's unguarded omote is called suriage. Attacking the tsuki over the reverse side of the shinai is called ojigaeshi. In the suriage, the pinky side of the hand is used. And in the ojigaeshi, the wrist is twisted. Step away from the opponent's front so that you would not be hit. You will not be able to do the kaeshi if you pull the opponent's shinai towards you or lean away from the shinai. Be ready to receive and return the opponent's hit at the front. Catching the opponent's hit with the ura shinogi and attacking the tsuki of the opponent's ura is called suriage. And attacking the tsuki of other unguarded side over the shinai is called ojigaeshi. Your right hand should do the suriage with the back of your pinky side. From the kaeshi, twist your wrist in order to continue with the attack. You will not be able to do the kaeshi if you pull the opponent towards you or lean away from the opponent. If your sword tip is pulled to your left before the attack, this enables the opponent to attack you. The key here is how to use your left fist. Twist your shinai with both fists because this kata will not go well if you only use the right fist. The makiosae is the movement which extends the opponent's arm using the shinogi as if pulling the opponent's attack and placing a lid on it. It is the same shinogi movement of defense against the tsuki in the Nihon Kendo Gata and the tachi sanbonme and the shitachi. The hand movement is the same as the maki. When using the omote, you should use the palm. And for the ura, use the back of your hand to put the pressure. Even though this movement is done lowering your body, it makes good use of the spiral motion of the shinai, which means it allows you to stop the opponent's attack with even a little pressure. At the end of the makiosae, make sure your shinai tip stays as close to the opponent as possible. The technique which strikes down the opponent's hit with a short, sharp hit is called the uchiotoshi. Compared to the suriage and the ojigaeshi that moves both shinais with a slower, sweeping manner as the natural flow of the attack, the uchiotoshi requires a precise shinai manipulation, for there are two different movements associated with it. For this movement requires a certain amount of power and speed, it is more suitable for a person with physical strength. Step diagonally forward, starting with your right foot using the migi hirakiashi at the point of the tsubazeriai. Push the back of the opponent's right side over the shinai and break the opponent's stance. This is called the omote kuzushi. Step up to your right, slightly tighten your arms with your legs strong, and push immediately after pulling your left leg towards you. pushing only with your hands, elongating your arms, or hooking your opponent with your sword tip are all incorrect moves. Push hard and immediately make your next attacking move before the opponent prepare his stance. At the point of the tsubazeriai, step diagonally forward with the hidari hirakiashi, the shinai slightly leaning with your right fist as a bearing point. With your left fist, quickly push the tube part of the opponent's right kote in order to break the opponent's stance. This movement is called the urakuzushi. Push hard, creating a bit of time in your hand and feet, and bring your sword tip at the vertical line. Step diagonally towards your left with your left fist on the tube part and push. Your right fist should never leave the touching point. Pushing only with your hands, elongating your arms, or hooking your opponent with the left fist are all incorrect moves. The shitakuzushi involves a quick lowering of the touching point at the tsubazeriai with a push. This technique is more effective with some body weight by bending your knees rather than performing only with your hands. Keep in mind that the movement will not be successful if you lower your head or the opponent's guard is above yours. Step back immediately after you hit the opponent's open area. If the opponent is more skilled than you are, your single kuzushi may give the opponent a chance to attack you instead. Sometimes it is effective to use the combination of the kuzushi, such as the urakuzushi from the omote and the omotekuzushi from the ura. As for the urakuzushi from the omote, deceive the opponent by moving as though you are going to do the omotekuzushi. When the opponent tries to defend, step in as you do for the ura. The opposite can be said for the omotekuzushi from the ura. The key here is not to pull the rear leg towards you. By not pulling this leg, the unexpected movement becomes more dynamic. This combination movement demands a good posture at the tsubazeriai and an excellent balance on your part. Take care not to make this technique a mere hand movement. Practice slowly at first. Proceed from a slight toma as if you cut through the center line of the opponent, then swiftly attack the men as soon as taking the vertical line. This is the most basic men attack. Please be reminded that if your arms are too much extended upon omote osae, the osae will not be strong enough and the strike will not have the sharpness. This movement is used after striking down the opponent's shinai from the top of the southwest direction. The opponent will have the unguarded points, so take the men. Keep the tenouchi strong so that your own sword tip remains at the vertical line when striking down. This movement should feel as though you beat down on the opponent's hand rather than simply sweeping the shinai tip. Enter with the omote shinogi as though you are sliding in, then attack the men without allowing the opponent to respond. The speed is important, but make sure not to move the left fist at the maki osae and not to extend your right arm too much. Holding the opponent's shinai with the ura shinogi, then proceed to attack the men. The tsukekomi to the ura can be performed from both the top and the bottom, but it is more common to use the bottom. Make sure you attack the omote in this movement. The form for the harai at the ura is the movement sweeping from the bottom to the top. Step one step forward while sweeping during the harai up the center of the opponent's shinai. If the sword tip after the harai comes back to the vertical line by drawing a half circle, you can expect the quick and precise men attack. This movement attacks the kote men by escaping the opponent's osae in response to your initial osae at the front. On the display, at the first movement is from above, the second from below, but it is important to practice both movements thoroughly. It is recommendable to attack the kotemen of the opponent who is not moving from your uraosai move, also for the purpose of restraining his degote. Practice well, keeping in mind not to let your left fist extend to the left. Keep your left side firm and practice attacking though you are attacking through a straight line. If the opponent comes back to the center line immediately after your omotebarai, it is effective to use this recoil movement to attack the kotemen. This hari should have a sense of taste, and do not push your feelings too much for attacking. On the display, there are two different ways of doing this, from the top and from the bottom. Put the harai motion at the ura and attack the opponent's unguarded kotemen. The urabarai will be no good if the sword tip after the harai does not come back to the vertical line. It is also important to pull your left leg towards you immediately after the harai. Beware not to relax your back. For the opponent who defends with a urayoke upon your attack on the kote, attack his men by making use of the unguarded omote. The first movement feints the opponent's right shoulder, and the second hits the kote with a feint using the mawashi. The kote feinting can be performed down from the bottom, but be careful. This form will leave you with a big unguarded area if your head is lowered. This movement, men after feinting the men, is used for the opponent who retreats for defending, or who is too tall for attacking the men with one step. The good timing and speed are crucial to these feinting moves. They are most effective against the opponent who is doing the uke. If you feint after entering the chikama, the opponent will attack your debana, so it is best to do these moves from a slight toma. Threaten the opponent's hand by stepping in with your right foot with your shinai in the gedan form. Attack the men just as the opponent's sword tip tries to defend his kote. Do not lower your head from the gedan zeme and think up at all time. When you threaten your opponent with the gedan zeme, the opponent may move his hands in fear of being attacked by the kote. In this case, you can attack the men, but it is difficult to attack the men at the omote via tsuki at the domune. If the opponent does the amashi and the sabaki, this is highly effective. This is an intricate move which requires one more step after in addition to the men from the gedan zeme, but it is a highly useful movement. Swiftly form the iremi from your right foot. Then using the omote shinogi, attack the men by doing the makiotoshi of the opponent's shinai. The makiwaza does not succeed if you only use your hands. Use your knees and twist with your body spring. The key points of the makiotoshi using the ura are the position of the left fist and the left side. If the left side of your body is not stiff, the shinai will swing your body and you will not be able to attack any further. Technically, this is quite challenging, but it does not require as much physical strength as the makiotoshi from the omote. Practice this well, because this move is suitable for the opponent with strong omote. If the opponent pushes back against your attack pushing at the ura, it is effective to use this recoil movement to attack the men by turning the shinai from the bottom via omote. This movement is named after the hiragana letter shi, because the sword tip moves like the letter. If the opponent pushes back against your attack pushing at the omote, you can use this recoil movement to attack the men by turning the shinai from the bottom via ura. This move is also suitable for the opponent who tries to push against you by only using his hands. This is not displayed, but it is possible to attack the kote men using this movement. Dynamically carry the shinai on the left shoulder and go forward one step, then attack the men. The first one shows the okuriashi. The second one shows by taking one step with the left foot for the katsugi, which is carrying. Katsugi waza is a type of feinting, but it is used with a loosened stance. Thus it is more effective when the opponent is on defense or as a surprise attack. It is crucial to act at the right time. This is an owaza, a dynamic surprise performance. The demonstrator is stepping forward with the left foot, but one can step in with your right foot. If your right hand leaves the shinai too fast, there will be no accuracy in the hit. Be careful also with the position of your right hand after the hit. Some use this move as one's trump card, the last resort if there is very little time left and if they want to have the last score. If the opponent pushes back against your omote osae, you can use this recoil movement to attack the kote. Use the men if there is no reaction for omote osae, and change to the kote if there is a pushback. Such like this, according to the opponent's movement, you may flexibly change your moves. It is recommendable to attack the kote of the opponent who is not moving from your uraosae. Use this uraosae or shinojimen according to the opponent's move. Remember to keep your left side stiff so that the kote will be sharp and crisp. For the opponent who raise up his hands at your gedanzeme, use the opportunity to attack the kote when the hands are raised. This move with a men or kote is a basic movement that is used even in the match among experienced contestants. Because the swinging range of the shinai becomes small, it is important to have the good attacking distance and a sharpness of the hand. Hit the unguarded kote of the opponent once you put the harai motion from the ura. If your sword tip returns to the vertical line after the harai, you can hit the kote directly. Do not loosen your left side. This movement attacks the kote by using the pressure of the shinai when you step in half a step and put the motion of the harai at the omote. It is important to slap with a crisp sound. The first move is the kote-uchi from the top. The second is from the bottom, but this depends on the response of the opponent after the harai. You may use the makiage for the opponent whose grip is not firm and the stance is loose. Make sure you step further in for the makiage compared to the makiotoshi and hit the kote with your body firm. Fix your left fist and be aware not to loosen your left side. Makiage is the most difficult of the maki moves. To make this movement successful, do the maki carefully until you finish before attacking. It is effective to feint the men and attack the kote for the opponent who defends by omoteoke when you try to attack the men. It is good to master this movement for it is popular among beginners and advanced contestants. You have fewer unguarded areas for this attack compared to attacking the kote after feinting the men, because the feinting movement for this attack is smaller. However, the offense before the feint must be done forcibly so that one can feint well. This movement is more for an advanced contestant. On the display, the tsuki feint is done from the gedanzeme. Dynamically carry the shinai on the left shoulder and go forward. There are two ways to do this. The first is to use the okuriashi, and the second is to step forward for the katsugi. This is a surprise attack, so be certain of the timing when and how to attack. Daringly attack the do of the opponent who raises his hands at your omote osae. The point here is to step in more than when attacking the men or the kote. Enter the space between you and the opponent and attack as you slide towards the opponent's right. Put the pressure temporarily, thereby making your opponent raise his hands. For your body will stay as one line, your attacking speed will be fast. This is used for the opponent whose hands are raised high against your osae from the ura. The success rate of this movement depends on how fixed your hands are. Make your opponent's hands raise by entering with your ura and using a little pressure. With the opponent's hand raising a little, it is easier to hit and pass to the left rather than the right side, but this move may be a weak attack, so practice this movement well. The kote-do is effective against the opponent who is trying to do the kote-suriage or the kote-nukimen. It is better to attack first, for this will make the opponent's hand raise easily before simply entering into the kote-do from issoku-itto. Practice so that you master the accurate omote-zeme and ura-zeme. Men feint tobikomi-do is suitable to use against the opponent who tends to raise his hands when you attack the men. For the opponent who raises his hands against your kote-nuki-men and the kote-suriage-men, it is effective to feint the kote then to attack the do. The sharpness of the movement is the point between feinting and stacking the do. Nowadays, the do from the makiage is not used very much, but this movement is quite expressive and is worth mastering for your benefit. On the display, the attack spot is the right do, but it can be changed to the gyakudo depending on the opponent's response. With the advancement of the mitokoro-yoke, there has been many variations for hitting the gyakudo. For the gyakudo after the haraiage from the ura, the shinai flows smoothly and it is easy to attack, but a very strong pressure is needed for the gyakudo after the makiosae from the omote, for you must incite the opponent to repulse. Practice well. This is useful for the opponent who does the mitokoro-yoke upon your attack on the men and the kote. This is not, however, the offensive attack against the haraiage or the makiosae. It is more suitable to use this movement when the opponent is clearly defending. Some opponents' center of their bodies are unprotected against the omotezeme, but they may be waiting for the men or lure you with the unguarded men but trying to do the degote. In this case, you will be most graceful for the movement called morotetsuki. Seeming apparently defenseless for the urazeme, but once being attacked the kote or men, if the opponent seems to be waiting to do the kaeshi, it is suitable to do the morotetsuki from the ura. Be careful not to loosen the left side of your body. For the opponent who guards the kote by lowering the sword tip against the gedanzeme, or for those whose sword tip opens, attack the center of that loosened space doing the tsuki from the omote. It is difficult to keep a good balance and control for the tsuki after feinting the kote from the gedan, for you have to take 2 steps. So please practice well. Controlling the sword tip at the tsuki after the makiotoshi is extremely difficult. The point is to make smaller, sharp swirls than when you attack the men. You will be able to get a hang of this by practicing many times. For the opponent who is skilled enough to dodge your hits, try the katate-tsuki. This can be done from the issoku itto distance, but also the toma. Therefore, it can be used as a surprise attack. You must be careful, however, because after the tsuki, you will have many unguarded areas. If your right hand leaves your body too fast, your shinai will be out of control. Do the tsuki as though your fists interchange each other and block the body with your do's taiko and your right hand firmly together. The last move is the chudan zanshin. The first move is the basic stance which you hit the opponent's men after the opponent's omote-kuzushi before his shinai returns. The second move hits the men from the ura after the opponent's response against the omote-kuzushi, trying to guard his men. It is useful to use both movements as the miai, the opponent's moves. For the opponent who raises his hands against the omote-kuzushi, attack the do or kote depending on how high the hands are raised. Disturb the opponent's stance with the urakuzushi, then attack the men or kote by retreating. For the opponent who raises his hands against the urakuzushi, attack the do or the gyakudo depending on how high the hands are raised. This breaks the stance of the opponent by pressuring the base of the opponent's hand from the urakosa stance. Hit the do if the opponent raises the hands to protect the men. Hit the men from the omote if the opponent pushes back your shinai against your move. Remember that the osae from the urakosa can be used only a brief moment in the match. If you stay in this stance longer, it could be taken as a foul, an unfair tsubazeriai, so be careful. If you and your opponent stays in the shitakuzushi stance, attack the men by retreating. If the opponent does the omoteyoke, trying to protect his men, then attack the kote. For the opponent who raises his hands against the shitakuzushi, attack the do or the gyakudo depending on how high the hands are raised. The key for the feinting moves from the tsubazeriai is not to pull yourself back at the moment of feinting. There's a danger of swinging your shinai only in the air if you pull back. Learn the correct feinting moves slowly in the practice sessions if necessary. Katsugi from the tsubazeriai is another feinting move. Katsugi hikimen attacks the men of the opponent who tries to avoid the hikigote from the omote. Practice these movements together so that they become the miai. For the opponent who raises his hands against the katsugi, do the hikido. This movement is peculiar because this katsugi is done with your right shoulder when attacking the gyakudo. It is an effective combination with a hikimen as a miai, according to the opponent's move.